Air Transat was operating under standards that were established to allow commercial twin-engine airlines to operate on long-range routes with sparsely distributed alternate landing sites typical of overwater operations. The permitted route structure is predicated on calculations assuming the airplane is more than 1 hour flying time from a place to land at an airspeed appropriate for one engine inoperative and in still air. These types of operations are known as extended operations or ETOPS. Air Transat was authorized for ETOPS with A330 aircraft on routes that did not contain points that were further than 150 minutes from an adequate airport at an engine inoperative true airspeed of 427 knots. This is known as the maximum diversion time. However, the route from Toronto to Lisbon would have only required a maximum diversion time of 120 minutes. As the Air Transat accident flight proceeded along its route, the distance to the nearest planned diversion airport, or ETOPS alternate, varied continuously, first approaching the next diversion airport, Halifax, Nova Scotia, until reaching its closest point and then flying farther away. At some point, the distance to the next ETOPS alternate, St. John's, Newfoundland, is the same as the distance to Halifax. This is referred to as an equal time point. After the equal time point, St. John's became the nearest diversion airport. The first part of the Toronto to Lisbon route is within 60 minutes of the nearest diversion airport. This non-ETOPS portion is shown by orange circles. The first point in the flight that is more than 60 minutes from the nearest diversion airport, shown as the airplane crosses the furthest extent of the orange circle from St. John's, is called the ETOPS entry point. During the ETOPS portion of the flight, the airplane stayed with the 120-minute diversion distance shown as yellow circles. After passing another equal time point between St. John's, Newfoundland and Lajes Airport in the Azores, Lajes became the nearest alternate. The investigators determined that the fuel leak in the right engine began at 4:38 Coordinated Universal Time, just before the airplane reached the 60-minute circle of Lajes, known as the ETOPS exit point. As the fuel leak grew larger, there came a point where the airplane no longer had enough fuel to fly to its destination of Lisbon. Initially, there was enough fuel to fly to Lajes. However, the flight crew was distracted by unusual engine oil instrument readings. This, combined with an automatic transfer of fuel to the tank feeding the leaking engine that masked the loss of fuel out of the tank, delayed the crew's awareness of the loss of fuel. By the time the crew initiated a diversion at 5:45, the airplane had already lost too much fuel to reach Lajes Airport. The right engine flamed out 150 nautical miles from Lajes. The left engine flamed out 65 miles from the airport. The flight crew was able to glide the airplane to a safe landing. However, the airplane was damaged during the landing rollout. Following this accident, requirements for low fuel alerting systems were added to the ETOPS regulations. Had the Air Transat A330 airplane been equipped with such a low fuel alerting system, the flight crew would have received an alert on the engine centralized aircraft monitoring system, advising them of their low fuel condition with sufficient time to safely divert into Lajes. Checklist procedures associated with the alert message would have required the crew to shut down the right engine to stop the leak and to isolate the remaining fuel available to the operating engine.